market that the world ever saw was the Ottoman Islamic market in the Ottoman Islamic Empire. Well, then where is the problem? Oh, I see. We must restore the integrity of money. Did you hear that? We must restore the integrity of money. I worked for the whole month and I earned a salary, and I could buy a camel with my salary. And then the value of money fell. Hey, wait a minute. The value of money never fell for thousands of years. How come value of money falling now? Something wrong here. The value of money fell. And now my salary can't buy a camel anymore, although I'm working the same amount. My salary can now only buy a donkey. So I begin to investigate. Hey, I have suffered a loss. But when I investigate into my loss, I find that my loss was somebody else's gain. That's oppression. As the value of money falls in this money that we now have, which lacks in integrity, the most fraudulent money in the world today is the US dollar. As the money falls in value, there is a loss in the value of property and of wages, from the camel to the donkey, to the goat, to chicken, murgi. And there's also a massive transfer of wealth from the unsuspecting masses to a predatory elite, a global predatory elite. And so one part of the world grows richer and richer. So you had 3 Mercedes-Benz parked up in your garage. And the other part of the world grows poorer and poorer, and eventually sinks into the destitution of Africa, of Indonesia, and of the countryside in Turkey. Our TT dollar is now 6 point something, 3 or so, to the US dollar. Why should my money be linked to their money? American money. Why did you not answer the question, what's the value of the TT dollar? Why didn't you say it is worth so much in gold? Why His Majesty the US dollar? Because of Bretton Woods. I once met with Mr. Pandey, my first real meeting with him, about 10 years ago. He was leader of the opposition. And I told him a story. He scratched his head. As a grandpa died in 1971, Dada Abba, and he left me 100 dinars. So Mr. Pandey, I go with a dinar, a gold coin, 1 ounce of gold. So because I was a baby, they put the money in a box and they lock it up. 30 years later, I asked, give me my money. So they opened the box and they took it out. And I gave back my 100 dinars. Same value. Could I buy 100 camels then? I could still buy 100 camels now. But then some wise Alec decided in 1971 to take my 100 gold coins and change it into something called the US dollar. And they said, listen, there's no problem because the US dollar mark, in God we trust. any governor of the central bank would know that. In God we trust. So after 30 years, I said, I want my money. So they opened the box and they took out the US dollars and they gave me. So I went in the market to get back the gold coins. I said, Mr. Pandey, you know how many coins I got with them US dollars? After 30 years? He said, no. I said, I get 8. I get 8. 92% of my wealth had vanished because of the falling value of that paper called the US dollar. I said, Mr. Pandey, if it was the TT dollar, you know how much did I get? Say no. It was a very jovial conversation. He said, I get about 3. And if it was the Venezuelan Bolivar, or the Indonesian Rupiah, or the Turkish Lira, I ain't gonna get nothing. Before the Turkish government made some changes recently, the Turkish Lira was trading at 1.6 million Turkish Lira to $1 US. If you can't smell a rat, a dead rat, you should go to a doctor. And so we say justice demands that there must be integrity of money. It is the demand of justice. And when the Prophet Jesus comes back, as Prophet Muhammad said that he would come back, he's going to bring back that dinar, the gold coin, where the value of the money is in the money, intrinsic to the money. Bretton Woods collapsed in 1971, that's why I use 1971. But up to 1920, in the United States of America, you could take $20 US to any bank and get an ounce of gold, a gold coin. It was redeemable. And until 1971, it was redeemable only for governments, not for people. At $35 US to 1 ounce of gold. But after the British came in one Sunday, no, maybe Friday evening, with a couple billion dollars of US, and said, Mr. Nixon, under the terms of the Bretton Woods Agreement, we are asking that you convert these dollars to gold for us. Because you have a constitution, you have a treaty agreement to fulfill. Mr. Nixon knew the game was up. They didn't have enough gold to redeem all the paper they had printed. If I had done that, they put me in jail. International law has been broken. What Mr. Nixon did was to retire to Camp David. They usually do that. And then to announce the world on Sunday that we have abandoned. We gave our word, but we don't have to keep our word. And so Bretton Woods collapsed, and since then to this day, it's just paper. Islam has one more thing to say on the market, and then I'll be finished. And I'm happy within our time. In order for a free and a fair market to be established and sustained, Islam declares that money cannot increase just so by itself. A woman could multiply, make another woman, baby. From one you get 2. But Aristotle said thousands of years ago that money is not like a woman. Money cannot increase just by itself. The Quran declares وَأَلَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى, that in order for money to increase, there must be effort, there must be labor, there must be work. And part of that is business. And the definition of a business transaction is that it must embrace risk. You could make a profit, or you could suffer a loss. If you are guaranteed a profit, and there is immunity from loss, that ain't business. When money is lent on interest, then money increases by itself without any effort or labor on the part of the lender, and without any embrace of risk, and therefore a possibility of loss. And this is why it is prohibited in Islam, and it is also prohibited in the Bible up to this day, that an Israelite is prohibited from lending on interest to another Israelite. But he could lend on interest to those who are not Israelites. That, we believe, did not come from the Lord. humble forum today, some seeds may be planted that will germinate in fruitful thought for the solution of the problems of this country. رَبَّنَا تَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ وَتُبْ عَلَيْنَا يَا مَوْلَانَا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ التَّوَّابُ الرَّحِيمُ بِرَحْمَتِكَ. The value of money falls in this money that we now have, which lacks in integrity. The most fraudulent money in the world today is the US dollar. As the money falls in value, there is a loss in the value of property and of wages, from the camel to the donkey, to the goat, to chicken. The market that the world ever saw was the Ottoman Islamic market in the Ottoman Islamic Empire. Well, then where is the problem? Oh, I see. We must restore the integrity of money. Did you hear that? We must restore the integrity of money. I worked for the whole month and I earned a salary, and I could buy a camel with my salary. And then the value of money fell. Hey, wait a minute. The value of money never fell for thousands of years. How come value of money falling now? Something wrong here. The value of money fell. And now my salary can't buy a camel anymore, although I'm working the same amount. My salary can now only buy a donkey. So I begin to investigate. Hey, I have suffered a loss. But when I investigate into my loss, I find that my loss was somebody else's gain. That's oppression. As the value